Well, the emails that we were sending you take you directly to the same page that they're all on. So.
I just have to remember it.
Well, we can send you guys something else just to say here's all the videos.
I can get the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go back to any of the other ones, you can get the link. So today we're going to be working on the last 3 limbs of the 8-limb path. The last 3 limbs, which are Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And we're going to practice these 3 limbs together because Patanjali states that the last 3 limbs should be studied together as they are progressive stages of concentration. And these 3 stages, when they're practiced together, are called antaratma, sadhana, or the innermost quest. So they're called the innermost quest when they're all practiced together.
Progressive stages
of these concentration.
Concentration, thank you.
So when we moved from cleaning up our spaces, cleaning up our minds, cleaning up our relationships, cleaning up how we're responding to life and how we are in harmony with others, we move into the stages of cleaning up our bodies with asana. Then we move into the bridge of bridging the physical and the mental with our pranayamas, with our breath, and expanding our life force. And then we start moving into more of the mental of bringing in the senses with pratyahara and being able to withdraw those senses so that they're not disturbing us during our time of meditation. And now we're going to move into Dharana, which is concentration. And so for me, pratyahara and Dharana, they're very similar. And the fact that if you're not being disturbed by your senses or the outside environments or things that are going on outside of you, you are able to concentrate. But if you're able to concentrate in the midst of all of those things going on, that's when you know you've really learned to master your concentration, your mind, and what is going to be distracting to you. So during Dharana, it is concentration or focus. It is the training of the mind to the single pointed attention that is needed for meditation. So when we practice doing some of our pratyahara and we used maybe a mantra, or we used focusing on one of our chakras, you can focus on any of the chakra centers. That is bringing the mind to a single point of focus. And that is one of the building blocks that is needed for meditation. So you can use breath, you can use mantra, you can focus on a chakra. This will help you be able to develop, but then at some point you may not even need those things in order for you to get to that single pointed concentration. So these are just tools to kind of help us get there. So what are some of the things that we can do to, even when we're not in the mindset of I'm going to sit down and meditate, what are some of the other daily activities that we can do that will help us be able to come to a single pointed mind of task or what we're currently doing? So like what are some of the things we can do? Breathing. Yeah, breathing is one. What about focusing on one task at a time instead of doing multiple things at once? We are multitaskers in this day and age. And sometimes if we can pick a day that says, okay, instead of doing a bunch of different things at one time and multitasking, I'm going to focus on just one thing at a time today. I'm going to go from beginning to end and complete that one thing before moving on to the next. That is the energy that's needed. That is the focus that is needed to prepare ourselves to have that single pointed mind when we move into our time of silence. So it clears the mind also for intuition. So if we don't have a lot of different things that are going on in our mind, if we're able to focus on one thing at a time, it starts to develop our intuition a little bit more. We're not so scattered or fragmented. And it starts to gives us clarity of the understanding. So when we're focusing on one point, we're able to clear the pathway for our higher self to come in and really communicate to us as far as like what is good for us or what is not good for us. Focusing on the ajna chakra when you're doing this will also help to bring in that sixth sense, just like we practice in pratyahara. But it clears the mind so that we are able to receive the messages in meditation that we're looking for. When we're in meditation, if we have a lot going on, we don't hear. That's like our mind is speaking words, and when we're speaking words, then we don't have the opportunity to listen. So it's really trying to get that out of the way. So what I'm going to do is we're going to light this candle, and we're going to try to focus on this candle for 5 minutes. And it's just the focus of the candle. There you go. So with this candle that's in front of us, you're gonna focus on this candle alone. So if you have another thought that kind of starts to come in, see if you can bring your attention back to the focus of the candle. So you want to notice when your attention is so set and clear on this one point, you will notice so many more things about this candle, all the little details. Nothing else is going on, just this candle. And then bring your attention back to the class. How easy was it to focus just on the candle? Okay. Did other things start to come in?
More so once the candle started jumping all around because of the airflow and the air kicked on, I did get distracted, when I started having other thoughts.
Okay. And that's pratyahara, right? Something from the outside coming in and affecting the inner stillness that we have. So the pratyahara, but moving into Dharana, you were fairly successful at just focusing on the candle. Now, can you tell me the details of the candle without looking at that?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it looked yellowish, orangish, and then after I was looking at it, the flame was white. Of course, I noticed the color of the candle was actually like purple lavender inside, and it became more liquid, and it actually, when I looked at it, I could actually see it getting very slightly larger, as it would, the liquid would move out more. And noticed, well, when the air movement started, I noticed that the tip of the wick was actually, I could see more like a fire, the flame, even though it had appeared white, then underneath there it looked like a color and black and ashes almost, and it looked like it was fighting to keep its balance too. And of course I noticed the outer tin was a little bit dented. Types of things I noticed.
Yeah. So when we're doing this type of work, even if we're just going to start implementing it into our lives, doing maybe one task at a time instead of doing many different tasks, how often do you think that you miss all these little tiny details when you're doing 3 things at once? Moving through so many things, we don't even realize what we may have missed.
You know what's really bad? You know what this came to me? That's what I pay other people for. That's not a good answer, but that was my automatic response. I'm not the detail person. We pay people to do that, right?
Right, and that's in maybe different in a job. There's many different things.
I mean. That's the mentality.
That's the mentality.
That I came from, and I'm like, I have 7 projects going at once. I don't do start to completion, so this would be quite a challenge for me.
To have just one thing. And it could be even as something as simple as doing a project at home and doing it from start to finish and focusing on the details of that one thing. It could even be just something as simple as cooking a meal. Just cooking the meal. Just preparing your food, not preparing your food while you're taking care of this and watching a show on the computer or the phone at the same time. We're multitasking all the time. So just coming into the set intention of, I'm going to prepare this meal from start to finish, paying attention to the details of what is actually going into it, how much how much pepper are you putting in, really focusing. And that's just a way of practicing, of honing in our skill of concentration. So that when we come to sit in meditation and we want to have that concentration, our mind isn't going in 5 different directions like it's trained to do right now. Right? So Dharana. Dharana is concentration and focus. And with the concentration and focus, we're lighting the candle so that we can spend 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, totally focused on what this candle is. All the details of the candle. You've noticed that when you've been in such a state of concentration before, may it be something that you're creating, and time just go. Where did the time go? I'm creating. I'm so focused. I'm on this one thing. You know the ins and outs of it. You know everything about it, and you're in it so deeply that time just escapes you. That is Dharana. That is concentration. So moving from Dharana and concentration into Dhyana, which is moving into stillness. So dhyana is actually the meditation. Dhyana is meditation. It is stillness. And with dhyana, it is the ability to focus all of the mind's attention towards one thing, and building again on this is the foundation into the next limb, which is samadhi. So dhyana, or meditation, is it's absolutely necessary if the practitioner is going to reach the liberation of samadhi. So moving into meditation, and what meditation really is that stillness, that is going to take you into samadhi, which is that liberation of freedom. So we've talked about meditation quite a bit. It's now kind of more mainstream. We practice it in yoga. We try to do it at home. There's a lot of different apps that we can listen to. Some of them are guided. Some of them are just nice, quiet music for us to meditate with. What are some of the benefits that we have heard that meditation provides for us? Lowering the blood pressure.
I think the manifest much more fluently.
You
connect to source.
And what? Calmer spirit, manifesting, connecting to source. Yes. So with the different benefits, so it's the egoless stillness where we unite our individual consciousness with divine consciousness. So one of the benefits is a physical attribute. We are able to lower our blood pressure. We are able to reduce our, soften our heart rate, bring that heart rate down. We're able to calm and clear the mind. We're able to have less stress, right? Less stress on our internal organs, helping us to be able to live longer, helping us to breathe so that the oxygen comes into our body. So the physical part of it is really much there. Emotionally, we're able to release emotions that we may have been harboring that we don't need to hold on to anymore. Mentally, it helps to clear the mind of all of those things that really we're just caught up in thinking about, different stories, or what are we going to do, things that we may not even be able to control. The worries, the what ifs, the anxieties. It helps us to reduce those. On a spiritual level, it connects us. So it takes us into that egoless stillness where we're able to connect with the divine within and the divine of source. Meditation. So dhyana is the state of stillness or meditation in which consciousness flows continuously inward and not outward. We're not reaching out into the outside world. We're really bringing that flow inward. And meditation is not about what you can get. What do I get out of meditation? What am I going to get here? What messages am I going to receive? What am I going to get? It's not so much about what you're going to get, but what can you give? What can you give to yourself in this moment? What can you give during this time of silence? What can you give? What can you move into that flow of unconditional love? And it's not so much about what you can get, but what you can give. So we have been practicing meditation during this 21-day journey. We're now up to 18 minutes. And the next time that we come to do meditation together, we will actually be doing 20 minutes. We've built ourselves up quite a bit. We are going to practice it just for 5 minutes though today, just in honor of this limb. And with Dhyana, we're going to just come to silence, but see if we can move into that place and space of unconditional love. So if you need to maybe start by focusing on the heart center with Dhyana, bringing that mind to that 1-point stillness, focusing maybe on the heart center, using a mantra, and then trying to see if you can move into that place of unconditional love. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get this set up here. So take a nice deep breath in, nice tall spine. Hands are relaxed in your lap. Coming to center, eyes closed, focusing on the heart center here. And begin. Slowly open your eyes. Coming back. So within this meditation, just 5 minutes, were you able to take that attention and focus it just on one thing for the whole 5 minutes? Did not, me either. Right. So again, with working with Dharana, working with the candle, it was a little bit easier to keep your focus on that candle for just 5 minutes, right? But moving in and quieting the mind and just focusing on the heart center just for 5 minutes, how much more difficult was that? What? Yeah. So it gives us something to work towards, really, and how we're operating in our daily lives and how we're training our minds in our daily activities to be in so many different places at once, right? So the purpose of meditation is to interrupt that natural flow of our mental activities. So there's sensory knowledge, right? So the sensory pratyahara, and turning off the senses, we have sensory knowledge that's coming into us all the time. So interrupting that flow, interrupting memory. Memory comes through all the time, past experiences. We're always comparing it to something that we've done in the past or something that has happened to us in the past. We're always comparing our current situation to that. And then also our imagination. So those 3 key elements of our mental activity, we're trying to interrupt the flow of what occurs all the time within our mind. And so for some of us, memory is a big one. Memory is more difficult to kind of harness than, one of the other ones. Some people it's imagination. So for you, it would be one of those 3, whether it's the sensory knowledge that's coming in or your memories or your imagination. And you'll just have to kind of figure out which one is more of a challenge for you and then work towards that.
Pick the one that's most challenging and focus on that?
You're going to, find one. You're going to find for yourself. Like for me, I would say my memory. What I do is if I'm sitting in stillness, I tend to go into my memory more. That's stronger for me. For some people, it might be imagination. They float off somewhere. They imagine that they're doing something else or that, and so for some others, it might be the sensory knowledge. So what are they taking in? Turning off the senses is going to be more difficult. So find what distracts you the most when you're trying to sit in stillness. And then work on trying to quiet the mind there. So it's really just, again, that self-exploration, self-knowledge. What distracts me the most in my mind when I'm trying to be still and concentrate? Where do I go? Where is my mind trained to be? So let's practice this again now with a little bit of this knowledge. We're just going to do it for 3 minutes this time. And see if you can pick anything that you want to kind of focus on. So if it's the heart center, fine. If it's the third eye, if it's just a mantra or your breath, I'm going to let you choose what you want to work with and see if we can bring that in, maybe find where our challenge is, or see if we can just hold that concentration for 3 minutes. So take a deep breath in, set your intention to begin, exhale out, and go ahead and start. And open your eyes. So was it different this time?
Yeah.
Was able to focus a little bit easier?
I felt like I had a task.
You were on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just did once, and then I'm like, I was ready.
Yeah, I started hearing a song.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something that simple. I mean, I'm focusing on what I'm doing, but all of a sudden, a song from wherever just started entering my mind, and I'm going, no, staying focused.
I thought, okay, what can I do? I'm going to just focus on this little seed flowering. So I focused on moving up through the dirt and everything. But then once it got up there, that's where I started to drift a little, because what's there? And it's flowing, the little bead kind of goes, and then.
What would that be? What would that be, though? Out of these three things, sensory knowledge, memory, or imagination? There you go. Mine, again, was like memory and a little bit of a sensory knowledge, because I could feel like my leg.
Yeah.
And then I could feel something else. What about you, Michelle? Everything. Started to float into memory, sensory knowledge, imagination a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because my time to meditate is 5:30 in the morning. You know, I don't know if it's because I don't know, I do have trouble. I've had trouble every time we've done it here, but it's just going through the motion, and you know.
Yeah. Well, this is bringing up things for us to be able to see, well, where do I need to work? You know, if I really want to be able to accomplish this stillness in my life, because if I can accomplish it here at 5:30 in the morning, if that's when you do your meditation, if I can accomplish here, then I'm going to be able to apply that in every area of my life. You know, and really being able to keep our mind calm. And so sometimes we create this calmness in our behaviors, because if we don't create a calmness in our behaviors with all this other craziness going on, we feel like everything is going to unravel. So that is a control, or us a perceived control. But if we really are calm in mind and not just in behavior, then whatever else is going on around us doesn't matter. And it's going to happen however it needs to happen. And we don't have to feel like we're in control. It can just occur. So it can fall apart if it's supposed to fall apart, because that's what it's supposed to do, and something greater will come and be built from that. And we don't feel like we have to always hold the pieces together. So this is helping us to create that calmness from the inside, instead of trying to create it as a behavior to keep things kosher and on task. Yeah. So any questions about concentration of Dhyana, or any Dharana, or Dharana concentration, Dhyana, moving into stillness meditation? So let's talk about Samadhi for a moment here. Samadhi is the bliss of reuniting individual consciousness with the universal one consciousness. So if you're in that state of meditation where you're able to focus long enough on one point and have that stillness, you will become aware of nothing but consciousness, that one consciousness, that source. You really won't feel the physical body. You won't be disturbed by your senses or your memory or your imagination. You have that direct connection with oneness and source. And that is the tranquility or the bliss that comes from a deeper meditation practice, where you really do connect wholeheartedly with source. So in Sutra 3, it says that all sense of separation dissolves when individual consciousness merges with universal consciousness. And this union is called liberation. So your individual consciousness merges with universal consciousness. And Samadhi is also a state of being. So you're in a state of being without having a point of view. So you're able to be fully present in a state of being without a point of view. One of the interesting things that I've learned in some of the modalities that I've kind of studied, one of them comes in with a question that you ask openly, and you just say, it's a statement actually, this wasn't a question, it's a statement, and it's an interesting point of view that I have that point of view. It's an interesting point of view that I have that point of view. And what that does is it kind of switches the energy around that point of view that you have. Oh, I don't like this. Well, that's an interesting point of view that I have that point of view. So it kind of switches it up to, well, why do I really have that? What has in my life, what stories created that point of view? Is that point of view really something that is true for me? So it starts to shift the energy around it, and you may not really even have a point of view. It kind of takes the charge off of it and removes the point of view that you actually have. So it starts cleaning up some of the point of views that you feel like you really are stuck with. And the less you have when you move into meditation, you're able to not have a point of view. You're able to just be. So this will be a little bit of a journal prompt. When have you felt connection to the divine or in that state of bliss? Have you ever encountered a time in your life, or can you remember when you felt in total connection with divine or in that state of bliss? And for most people, that's just touching the surface when you really move into samadhi. That is an experience because we're usually embodied. We're really still in touch with our body. We're still kind of having these cognitive thoughts. We're feeling this connection with the divine. We feel this real joy, but that's just touching the surface of what samadhi is. So that gives us an idea of where we need to go, but to know that that's just the tip of the iceberg when you move into a deep meditation and align with consciousness that way. So any questions about samadhi and what that means, or what, maybe even how to describe it for yourself or anything?
No, because when I feel that way, it's just a matter of continuing to keep that nothingness in your head, and as long as you can continue that. Mm-hmm. And then the second you start to think one thing, it seeps back. So it's just a constant practice of keeping that.
Of nothing, yeah, of just being.
Yes, and just feeling, just sensing it. And so, yeah, but when I'm there, I always feel like the one thing that does pop in my head is, don't go away.
Yeah. It always brings us back, right? It's always something that we want to re-experience over and over again. Mm-hmm. And the experience in itself is what draws us to it. Mm-hmm. But then also knowing that, we're not supposed to get attached to the experience. We're just supposed to be. Yeah. So again, Patanjali states that these last three limbs, should be studied together, as they are progressive stages of concentration and are called the antaratma, sadhana, which is the innermost quest. Dharana is concentration, and that moves us into Dhyana, which is stillness or meditation. And those two help us accomplish or move into Samadhi, which is the complete merging of consciousness where there is not more awareness of individual self. So you don't have that awareness of individual self, you only have the awareness of oneness. So we will have one more opportunity, like I said, when we're going to be doing our 20-minute meditation, to really come back to these three limbs and practice them. See how long we can hold our concentration for. So we're going to be doing it for 20 minutes. You may get 5 minutes out of those 20 minutes, but that in itself is an accomplishment. So being able to give yourself the time to roll through these, get my concentration, find that point of stillness, see how long I can hold it, bypass, the sensory knowledges and memories and, the mental chatter, and then connect with divine for however long you can, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes. It'll gain in time as you practice. All right, we are all set for today. Tomorrow we're going to be doing an asana practice, so we'll need our mats.